Yes, we are online. Hello, Scott.
Hello, Dee. How are you today?
Awesome. Feeling really excited about our conversation. Let me start with briefly introduction and let's start. And welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this important conversation, the hidden cost of digital, cleaning up marketing's carbon footprint. I am Duygu Özen, the founder of V7 AI. We are on a mission to decarbonize the marketing, but also working like their marketing agency with our AI leverage platform. And today we are diving into an often overlooked aspect of sustainability, the carbon footprint of digital marketing, from websites to advertising, data storage to content distribution. Digital activities contribute to significantly to emissions. To explore this topic, I am excited to have a conversation with Scott, the founder of Digital Carbon Online. Scott has been at the forefront of measuring and reducing digital carbon emissions, make it easier for sustainability leaders to track, report, and optimize their website environmental impact. Hello, Scott, again. And before starting to our subject, we would love to hear your story.
Well, brilliant. Thank you for having me on, and hello to everybody. Thank you for joining, whatever time of day this is. I guess just very briefly about me then. I've spent the best part of 30 years kind of at the forefront of technology and innovation in both big multinational companies, but also startups across kind of the UK, Europe, and USA. And as we were just talking about off air just now, a lot of my time was in San Francisco and San Diego with companies over there and Seattle. Around 2017, though, I realized that I needed to change kind of how I was going about my life and about my work. And I started to focus much more on kind of sustainability and how that intersected with technology. So my journey kind of has been this kind of one of kind of at the forefront of innovation, but now I'm like, how do we use technology to do amazingly good things? And then during that conversation, there was a realizing that actually technology, whilst it does have this great positive impact and potential, there's definitely areas where we could improve and where we need to be mindful about the negative consequences that we probably don't see every day. And that's where Digital Carbon Online was born from, that realization.
Perfect. And then you started your right now the current venture, which called Digital Carbon Online.
Yeah. So that event that ultimately came about because I wrote a paper for the UK's education sector, and the idea of the paper was what we wanted to achieve with it was to raise awareness of digital carbon footprints. And on one hand, I'm really happy because it did exactly that. We had lots of conversation, but on the other hand, I got quite frustrated that there was a lot of conversation, but then nothing happened. There was all this aha, and then no action. So I was thinking, how do we do something that allows everybody pretty much to at least start that journey if they haven't done already? And that's kind of where Digital Carbon Online came from. It's 98% of businesses have websites. It's like, well, let's start there. That's where it came from.
Yes. When I first met your company, I was amazed what you are doing because it's a great idea to start for the decarbonize digital and starting point on the website, because there are really so much carbon we are producing through our website, but we don't know what's happening behind it. Even we are talking about the sustainability as leaders, we need to learn and of course optimize our websites or digital marketing channels and so on. I started measuring our website through your platforms, our website, and I see right now our website activities. Would you please a little bit unfold about your technology behind it? How you are doing this, how you are measuring the website's carbon footprint on digital?
Yeah, I can definitely tell you about that. I think what's quite interesting is to kind of just talk about a little bit how and why we work together in this kind of relationship with you.
Absolutely.
And it's because we have this vision, this mission rather, for a more sustainable digital future. And the reason we're focusing on that is because we look at where we are in the world right now, and we're in a bit of a sticky position, and it's kind of ridiculous because we've known that this was happening, but we just didn't do anything about it. And I won't go into the politics and the reasons of why not, but we just didn't do anything about it. Now, digital is this exponential beast. So every day that we don't do something, the problem becomes twice as hard. And we were thinking, you know, if we just don't do something about digital, it's only going to kind of accelerate out of our control. So I don't want us to be in a position later on where we look back and we're in that moment of regret again, where we're like, if only we did something sooner. But as we looked at that, we're like, oh, there's so much. And I look at it like this expanding universe of things going into this kind of more sustainable digital future. And whilst, you know, we've chosen to start with websites, we realize that there's so much else in this universe that needs to happen and could happen, that we're kind of thinking about it from the Simon Sinek kind of mind of infinite game. And, you know, we're looking for partners like you and We7 to kind of do those things that we have no idea about. So the things that you're doing, it's brilliant to find you, to work with you, because you're absolutely part of this mission that we're envisioning of this kind of bigger, bolder mission to make a more sustainable digital future for all of us. So I just wanted to kind of add that for context as well, because there's lots of people we're working with, and really excited to be working with you and We7. In terms of kind of how we do it, when we started bringing this to market, there's a number of different website carbon calculators out there, and they're really good. Most of them follow the same kind of nascent standards from the Green Web Foundation, and yeah, most of them follow these standards. But what we noticed was that yeah, pretty much all of them, they were measuring a single page at a single point in time, and we thought, you know, that's not so helpful when you're trying to understand the holistic footprint of something, you know, just to take a snapshot every now and then. Because especially for websites, we see them as, you know, this living, breathing thing that changes over time. The more people visit it, the more emissions you have. The more, you know, the richer the content, the more emissions you have. So we wanted to build this thing that kind of measures things over time. And I'm sure from your side, when you're talking about digital marketing, it's not static either. It changes moment to moment. So you have to kind of really get to grips with it. So, you know, we do it constantly, automatically. And we also, and I'd love to get your thought on this as well. We also think that, you know, in sustainability, there's two things that you can guarantee in sustainability. One thing, and I say this sometimes deliberately to kind of provoke a response, but one thing you can guarantee, that in the future, when you look back at what you did today, you'll probably be wrong, because we don't have all the information. So we're making the best guess, the best effort at what we know now. And as sustainability professionals, our integrity and our transparency needs to ensure that as we move forward and as we learn, we do better, and we learn and we do better. And the other point that about sustainability is, whenever you have a data point, it comes with an uncertainty. It's not definitive. It's not a number. It's a number plus or minus. So we decided that we should build in two ways of measuring a website's carbon footprint, so that we could give that level of uncertainty as well. One, so you say, yeah, it's a range. It's not this. It's a range. But also it kind of it reinforces the idea that it's not a single data point. It's not definitive. There is some uncertainty and ambiguity in it as well. So, I mean, I'm sure the same thing is for what you measure as well.
Yes, Scott, definitely. And you mentioned many things, and there are many things I am feeling the reflections I can do. And the most important part you mentioned, our integrity. Yes, when we go to future and look back to maybe today, maybe so many things, you know, it's just a starting point. But we are putting on the integrity and the mission, because our intention is to decarbonize the marketing channels, the website, the digital marketing. And the other part is data uncertainty. Right now, we patented our technology because we have some methodology using the data and some frameworks to decarbonize the per marketing channels. but it might be changed during our journey, and we will update all these our data structure as well. But we were talking every time to creating the awareness. This is our first mission. Let's create awareness, because there's some problem, we are not aware of it. There is a huge problem about the digital marketing cost as a carbon footprint, and let's create awareness about it, and let's start the solutions. Our solutions are perfect aligned each other, because website is a huge part of it, and digital marketing costs huge part of it. It's the reason today we are here. And you mentioned this part really great. And there are some numbers actually I want to share. For example, the average digital ad campaign carbon footprint, the average, they are spending 40,000 monthly, 5.4 tons carbon footprint. And it means that equivalent to the carbon footprint of a round trip flight from New York to London. That's a huge, huge numbers. The other question is, Scott, and we talk about the future. How do you see digital carbon online next 5 years? And what do you want to add, services or technology?
I love the question about 5 years, especially in our current world. I mean, predicting 5 years out is pretty much fortune telling, or kind of gazing into the stars and wishing. But I guess we've got to have a trajectory of where we're going. And if we go back to that analogy I had of the universe expanding, digital carbon is that first piece for us here. And within digital carbon, we've got many many stepping stones along that journey. Adding out new capabilities, going deeper, improving the measurement, following the standards, maybe even influencing the standards and contributing to the standards as well. So there's lots of stepping stones to make digital carbon online even more than it is right now. But on top of that, there's all these other things that we know we need to address in that universe of digital carbon. So we'll be looking to take digital carbon online and use that as a vehicle to fund development and exploration into these other things. And part of our mission is that, like we want to raise awareness and educate. And a way that we find very compelling is that we'll go ahead and we'll experiment in different areas and share what's working and share what's not working. So as well as kind of creating new businesses and everything else, as we go along, we're intending on being able to kind of help others learn and grow and develop their own businesses off the things that we create as well. So
Sure.
What we have in 5 years, I don't know, but it's going in that direction towards building out these new capabilities. And
Perfect.
Probably failing a lot of the time, because that's what we do as entrepreneurs. Yes. You try and you fail, but finding the things that really work and things that really matter and talking about them a lot and getting them kind of the attention and traction that they need.
Yes, in the beginning, in this conversation, you mentioned how technology is here actually to make things good. And it's just we are learning how to use these new technologies as well, like artificial intelligence. And there are many upgrades yesterday. Again, so many things happened. And it will show us to creating our future vision as well. But in my opinion, Scott, when we talk about the marketing next 5 or 10 years, or marketing agencies, whether related as a services or technology into that industry, it won't be the same today. It will be so different to business model, our technologies, how we are using marketing, how we are using our mobile apps to websites. And it's the reason right now we are seeing so many paradigm shifts through the consumer side to entrepreneurs' lifestyle during this mission and the impact as well. The other things I am having is so many, actually 2 questions I am having, but one of them is nowadays is so important because of governmental changes around the world, sustainability policies, regulations in Europe, the United States. What's happening in Europe?
That's a big question. What's happening in Europe? We can touch on that a little bit, but I would love to kind of follow up on that AI topic as well, because
Sure. It's so important.
Yeah, we'll come on to that. I deliberately didn't mention that in the My Universe, but it's absolutely a big piece of the future. So we'll come back to that. But what's happening in Europe? There's it's kind of in two. You can look at it through two different lenses. So in one lens, you can see that the regulations, some of the regulations are getting more attention because of kind of maybe some change of direction in other parts of the world. So some of the regulations are getting a lot more attention, and people are kind of spending a lot more time thinking about them, developing them, working towards them. Through the other lens, you can see there's some certain amount of government kind of directional change and putting money in different areas where it used to be a lot of focus in sustainability in the UK as an example, but now we've got this massive AI strategy, and we don't have an infinite amount of money, so money has to come from one thing to another, and I think there's a huge emphasis on AI right now from the government here in the UK. But with that said, if you go if you go beneath the headlines, beneath the tabloids and all of that stuff, and you actually speak with people who are working in large organizations, in government suppliers, in FTSE companies, stock exchange listed companies, and their supply chains, you'll see that sustainability hasn't gone anywhere. In fact, it's only grown in importance. I was at an event last night, Impact, an award ceremony about impact, and there were so many people there talking about how carbon reduction plans are something that we need here if you're supplying into government organizations and supply chains. That's just becoming more and more of an emphasis. There was a energy project builder in Europe, and he was saying, everything has to have a carbon plan with it. Everything has to have it. So I think you can look at the headlines and you can look at the politics and you can see it's all kind of chaos everywhere.
So true.
But when you get down on the ground and you're working, everybody's pushing forward, maybe harder now at the corporation and the individual level than they were before.
So true. When I having this question, usually my answer is to, yes, there are so many things happening. Like you mentioned, there's a chaos maybe, but at the same time, there are humans. We are looking for the companies, and we are purchase dynamic change. This paradigm shift. We are looking for the companies who is creating the impact, who is focusing the sustainability. Consumers are changed a lot last 5 years. And this demand, of course, companies have to think about the sustainability in all their services and technologies. I will turn back to, if it's okay for you, to your platform, Digital Carbon Online. And what are the statistics or numbers right now your clients have? Like, for example, they started to somewhere in numbers, but they are deducting their carbons, or they are working on any case study.
Yeah, I guess probably the easiest one to talk about, because they just published something online recently, and that's National Museums of Scotland. They've been working with us since the middle of last year. What they wanted to do is they wanted to migrate from one website to another website host, and they had the website redesigned, and they wanted to measure that difference in carbon emissions. So I won't go into the specific numbers, but during that period from going from their old website in architecture and infrastructure to a new website, they were able to reduce their carbon footprint by actually over 50%. So wow. This is and now what they've got is they've got the evidence that this is now been reduced, and the team are now focused on let's not just let it kind of creep up. Now we're monitoring it. We're actually trying to make sure that we not just don't creep up, but keep it going down.
Perfect.
And we work with a lot of organizations that do exactly that. It's like we got a chap in Mexico who wants to do the same thing for his clients as well. we're going to move, but before we move, let's see what the baseline is and see how we can get better. So 50% is a good number, and that, you know, they're a big website with a lot of traffic, so that is a meaningful number in terms of kilograms and tons. You know, we have lots of other companies that are smaller websites, and they're maybe reducing carbon by somewhere between 30 and 60%. But in terms of the actual amount of emission reduction, obviously a smaller website, smaller reduction. But the way I look at it is if we work with hundreds, thousands, you know, tens of thousands, millions of different websites, and everyone can reduce it by 10%, then that's a significant global number that we can affect.
Yes, Scott. And on our side, under the V7, we have two divisions. As you know, one of them is our consultation, the other is AI leverage services. And actually, we are creating impact not just with the numbers, creating this awareness too, and we are teaching to our customers and clients their communication style, or they are learning how they can align their marketing strategy to their sustainable development goals as well. This is another impact. Not everything's are related to numbers. Some of them is related to companies' actions, because this part is how they can use the marketing for good. But thank you so much for sharing that numbers. They are impressive, and it is really nice to see that. Yeah.
So I was going to mention as well, we did a report, a study with another partner, and we've got two reports, two large-scale studies ongoing right now. This one has just been published yesterday. You'll find it on our website. We looked at 300 websites across 10 different industries, and we looked at like the homepage, and then the first 50 pages that the homepage linked to as a proxy to kind of the most visited pages. And the results actually were quite interesting when you look at it as an industry by industry comparison. On average, across those 300 websites and the thousands of pages we tested, the average carbon emission per page was 0.68 grams of carbon emissions per page view. And, you know, some of these websites are getting millions of hits a month, so you multiply that up and it gets kind of quite high. But what was also really interesting for me was the industry that did the worst was were the eco-brand industries. So these are those industries that are out there talking about their sustainability credentials and how they're making, you know, an eco-friendly deodorant or something like that. Yet powering their infrastructure is a website that's the worst performing compared across the other nine categories. So that's a really interesting thing to kind of see how different industries are performing compared to the other. The one that came up top was insurance. Insurance industry had the lowest carbon footprint. On average, from the ones we tested, you know, all of those caveats. But yeah, in our study, insurance came up with the lowest carbon footprint, and eco-brands with the highest, which is kind of surprising.
It is, definitely. A few days ago, I had a meeting and I was talking about the digital carbon online. I was there because of the talking about the search engine optimization and creating the organic traffic. Of course, the first question I had, you know, what about the traffics? It is affecting their website traffic. I told them, actually, it is increasing to your website traffic because of awareness, because of this mission. You know, there are many things. These are regular questions for V7 too. Yeah, okay, they are decarbonizing marketing, but what will happen conversion rates? How they will reach their KPIs? But the same results actually. We are here, we are creating these technologies and services, not the deduction of their revenues opposite side. Actually, we are here to creating impact with profit and the purpose as well. I wanted to mention this part. I think it is so important who is listening us.
Yeah, I totally agree. I also support another venture, which is basically like a venture builder, but we focus purely on impact startups. And, you know, one of the things we're looking for there is we're looking for startups that are having positive impact across people, planet, nature environment. But what we've learned over time is that actually you can embrace the kind of charity and social purpose, social impact organizations in one way, but really, if you look at those organizations that are looking to have a profit, but that link that profit to the impact, so there's a kind of a real kind of inextricable link between the profit and the impact, then you can actually find some really powerful, really impactful businesses that scale when they're successful. And that's what we want, isn't it? Make that happen.
So true.
I was going to mention the SEO piece, actually. This is one of the things that I think is so lovely about looking at minimizing the carbon footprint of websites. A lot of the techniques that you can do, you can apply for improving the website UX and usability, lead to potentially reductions in carbon footprint as well. And then both of those two things can actually help with your SEO performance as well. So this is not just do I do SEO, do I do UX, do I do website carbon? All of these things work so well together. And actually, there's a really good conference coming up in April in Brighton in the UK. There's the big event is called Brighton SEO. It's one of the biggest in the country. And then they have this fringe event that's becoming more and more popular, which is called Green SEO. And it's exactly that point. By optimizing, your website and your marketing, you can really drive the SEO whilst bringing your carbon under control. So
Correct.
Any UK listeners, visitors, get down to Brighton SEO and Green SEO and let me know what you think.
Yes, definitely. And the other things, actually, V7 AI having a solution about the green SEO too. And but these questions are really great because it means that company is just curious about how it will happen. What we are talking right now, and so many companies and people like us, it is new age marketing, new age technologies. And I am really happy that have that challenging questions because we have answer end of the day or solutions somehow. Yes.
Going back to the AI point, let's talk about that AI elephant in the room, if we like.
Yeah.
Just last month, I commented. I provided a comment on one of our partners' reports looking at AI and sustainability. It's like, is it friend or foe? Like everything with technology, I think AI has a really powerful role to play, but also there's these kind of potentially negative consequences as well. I'd love to hear kind of AI is such an important part of what you're doing. I'd love to hear how you think about that kind of dichotomy between those, the good and the bad, if you like.
Yes, Scott, this is our topic too. Actually, last week we had another live stream with Işıl, Dr. Işıl, and she was mentioning really great statistic about too. And AI creating some results affecting the sustainability, but also AI creating the solutions, how we can eliminate that damage as well. And then I mentioned in that conversation, it depends on how we are using our tools. AI is a tool, AI is here. And yes, there are some statistics about how it is affecting the negatively sustainability, but also we have ability to create solutions about it. And for our businesses and for our business model, actually, this is what we are thinking. Okay, we are creating these AI platforms and we are using a lot right now under the V7. There are different type of models and machine learning, so many technologies. But at the same time, we are discussing with the team how we will eliminate this damage through the positive side of sustainability as well. Just again, every time I am coming to this part, the consciousness is so important and the awareness of our tools' ability for both sides, pros and cons, and think about how we can eliminate actually.
Yeah, and I think I completely agree with you. It's a tool, and I think actually it's a lot more granular than that as well, because actually I use have you heard of the robot manufacturer called Figure? They do Figure One. Yeah, I use this as an example, actually, because my training, my study was in cybernetics and control engineering, so robots are kind of like a thing for me. But I was reading an article about them from one of their founders, I think, and he was saying that, you know, you've got this incredible piece of machinery, a humanoid robot, but within that robot there are multiple kinds of AI. You know, you have a neural network that's learning how to kind of manage motors and solenoids and sensors to move and interact with the world. You have an LLM that's kind of sitting in the brain to manage the conversation and the understanding of the world. You've got optical kind of camera vision systems to see. You've got all of these different things working together, and then you have a neural network that wraps around all of these to manage all of that stuff. And it just, I think, reminds us that you know, in nature we have individual systems that all kind of work together. AI is like that as well. You have certain types of AI that are very specialized at doing certain things, and then you can stitch them together with kind of, you know, more generic things. I think when we talk about AI in general, kind of a broader population thing, we get wrapped up with thinking AI is one thing, when really it could be everything. You know, it could be all these different things. And I think what I understand about how you're working, looking at it from the kind of agentic point of view, and looking at these individual kind of smaller pieces of AI to do specific tasks, I really think that's the way we're going to go forward. And I also see that that's potentially a much better way to both understand the environmental impact of these smaller models, these smaller things, but also to control it. And I guess, you know, that's everything that you're trying to do as well, right? It's not only use it, but understand it, control it, and minimize it.
So true, Scott. And the other things, and we are talking to implementation these technologies, but companies' cultures are more important than the other times. Like, for example, we have to have our manifestations, and also we should create our culture around the sustainability, and our team should align what we are doing and why we are doing part is more important than the other things. In this case, your developer, designer, and other team members just looking to that values are aligned to their works or not. And this is important too. Having the same consciousness around the sustainability into company, it is creating another feature of our development technologies as well. It is not just about how we are developing technology, but also how we are creating the cultures with our collaborations and our team as well.
Yeah, I think that's really important, and that comes back to the old adage of, you know, what doesn't get measured doesn't get managed, right? I think, you know, we have a local authority, a local council that uses our technology, and the first challenge they wanted to overcome with it was that education piece, because they wanted to build this knowledge and this awareness into their culture within the council and also the broader stakeholders as well. And it's by providing information, creating conversation, and then having those data points. So like National Museums of Scotland, they've now got a data point where decisions can be made around, you know, are we making it better or worse? But I think in the broader sense, when we think more about kind of sustainability in a very broad sense, we need to have that information as citizens, as employers, as employees, whatever it is. We need to have the information about how our choices not only have a financial implication, but also have that kind of carbon and environmental implication as well. And I think that goes towards that. Then you can build that culture of awareness and action.
Yes, Scott. Wow, this is amazing conversation. We can continue like this more, but let me ask you last question, Scott. If there is anybody right now wants to implement some tactics to their website to eliminate their carbon, what they can do? Is there any short way?
Yeah. Well, the first thing to do is to make sure that you're running on your website's running on a hosting provider that is using renewable energy. You can reduce the carbon footprint of your infrastructure significantly with that one move. So if you search for Green Web Checker, you can put your host name in there and you can see whether your hosting provider is using renewable energy. That's the first thing you can do. Then, you can go into, you can start having a look at how your website is structured. And I would say that on those websites that we see the biggest footprints, they normally have a couple of things that are very easy to fix, really. So one of them is lots of video. Do you really need all this video? And if you do need video, is there a way that you can deliver it more intelligently that reduces the amount of kind of processing power and the amount of data that's being kind of exchanged? We've seen one company try and do it with GIFs, and GIFs are very, very bad. Just switching from a GIF to an MP4, you still have the video, but actually it cut the emissions of that one page by, I think it was close to 75%, that one change. And then you can start to get to the smaller things. So, like another company on their homepage, they had a big image across the back of their homepage, but the image was an uncompressed JPEG, which was 7.8 megabytes itself. It's like, just you don't need that. Compress it, optimize it, and then again that went down from 7.8 megabytes down to under 200 kilobytes. So that one change made a big difference. So videos, images, and then you get down to things like scripts that you might not need, fonts you might not need, third-party libraries. Maybe you've integrated with a CRM at some point, and you don't use it anymore. Get it out. It's just needless traffic. So once you've done all that, you can start looking at colors. Colors make a difference too. But now we're going into real details here.
Okay, but it is amazing. And you mentioned greenwebcleaner.com. Am I correct?
If you just go to Google and search for green, I'm doing it now just to make sure I give you the right thing. Green Web Check.
Green Web Check.
Green Web Check by the Green Web Foundation. You just stick your host name in there, or rather your website name in there, and it will tell you whether you're running on renewable energy.
Very nice.
Yeah, so that's probably the first biggest thing you can do.
And how people can reach out to you, Scott? Your LinkedIn, website, everywhere?
Yeah, I'm all over LinkedIn. So you can find me on LinkedIn, Scott Stonham, and the face should look something like this when you see it. And you can obviously go to our website, digitalcarbon.online, where you can find out how to get in touch with us, how to see a product video, everything we do. And if you want to, sign up, join our mission.
Perfect, Scott. It is so nice to having this conversation as always with you. Hopefully we will continue like this video or creating the other contents, other project together. And thank you for being here. Hopefully talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you again. I really enjoyed the conversation, Dee. And whatever we can do to collaborate, we're up for it.
Okay. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.